Ryan Reyes.
I'm Dominic Angel.
And I'm Rick Macias.
And together we are...
Un Poquito.
Un Poquito Podcast, exploring Latino culture little by little.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to be here. We're going to jump right in. We're feeling good. We've been chopping it up with our guest. Has anybody called you the Lord of Frogtown?
No, but I'll take it.
Damn. We're christening today. Lord of Frogtown, Comedy Store regular, right?
Yeah, not a paid regular, but I'm a door guy. Yeah, I'm there.
You're there.
I'm regularly scheduled. Yeah, that's about it.
Mad Peaceful.
Hell yeah. What's up, you fucking nerds?
Joel Jimenez, everybody.
Yeah. Joel Jaime Jimenez.
Do you go by Joel?
Nah, Joel Jimenez, but I'm fucking, that's a whole nother. It's weird how I'll say my name. It's the same thing with like when I say tortillas, depending who I'm around, I'll say tortillas like that's a fucking interesting thing, like code switching, I guess, in a way. But
I remember I had one of my best friends in 6th grade. His name was Hol. His name was Joel.
Well, you say what you're thinking about.
He's like, I'm Ojero, get over here.
Yeah.
He was really tall.
Really?
Yeah, I like that about him.
Damn.
He looked like Sonic the Hedgehog a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen people like that. Yeah.
But his name was Joel, and when we went to middle school, he started going by Joel. And
Yeah.
I remember I don't know, I couldn't articulate why, but I was so mad at him for not going by Joel.
It's it's like a maybe not self-hating thing, but society. I've seen it more with just names of a lot of different cultures. They'll make it easier for white people to say, which now at my age, I'm like, fuck it, let them learn it. Like they should have to learn it.
Yeah, I'll take full credit for this. I was the reason why Frank Ulloa started using his full name.
Okay.
Because I was getting mad at him too, because he would go by Frank Yu.
Yeah.
And I was like, why the fuck are you going by you?
This guy's not Asian.
Yeah. But he was like, oh, everybody's like, oh, Frank, like it's hard for them to say. I'm like, I was like, dog, they're already making fun of your name because it's Frank Yu.
Yeah.
Every time you go up, everybody's Frank you very much. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I wish I had a name as interesting as Ulloa. Like, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, it's not double L is obviously a Y. Like,
Yeah.
It's really not that hard.
Is it though? Because I still get brought up as Joel Jimenez sometimes. Mine is more confusing because of the two J's.
I guess that's fair, but come on, you're in Southern California.
Yeah, you should know better. You get all these like racist people like learn the language. I'm like, learn my fucking name, dude. It's fucking Los Angeles. I mean, you're living in a place with multiple Spanish words.
For sure.
Figure it out.
I remember having like kind of the reverse issue. Like we'd be hanging around with, we grew up in a Latino dominant community.
Yeah.
And every once in a while people would be like playing that game of like, what does your name sound like in Spanish? Like if your name was Richard, it's like, oh, it's Ricardo.
Yeah.
And then they would always get to me and they're like, oh, it's Ryan. Ryan.
Yeah.
Like they just rolled the R as hard as they could.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I would get Domingo, but I don't or like people started calling me Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's a good one.
That's a cool nickname.
Yeah. And your real last name is Angel?
No, that's my middle name.
That's your middle name. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you say your last name or you keep it?
I don't care. I mean, Ryan's my brother, so everybody
Reyes.
knows my last name, but I go by Dominic Angel because when we first started, I was going by Dominic Reyes, and like we would go to mics together, and every time it would derail the fucking the mic where people were like, "Are you guys brothers? Like, are you guys related?"
First of all, pretty racist.
Yeah.
Secondly, we are, but you didn't know that.
Yeah, don't assume.
I know the assumption to automatically be like, oh, I'm not going to ask everybody that's named Smith, like, are you guys related?
They are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of incest in that culture.
The Smith specifically.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. I love Frank. Frank, he's a great.
He's great.
Yeah,
he's going to be hosting
quite a while.
tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta not do this spot then. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm actually super excited that Joel's here because like I remember when. Obviously, I was a fan of Kill Tony, and
so wild to think about, man.
It's crazy when you see people pop up, and you're like, "Oh, this person." Because I was listening to that before I started doing comedy, and then when you started coming around to Chatterbox, because that's where I started. I don't know if you guys were like this. Ryan is super confident, but I was like, I'm like, I'm not going to go to the Comedy Store right away. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to get good and then show up. So there's always this like what is the word? Pedestal.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's great. I think more people should have that. The amount of people I see walk in there with this crazy blind confidence, and I'm like, the first time I went there, I was terrified, dude. I had to keep my head down. Like, I remember I did a bringer show. I ran the light, and I was like, I'm never working in this town again. I thought I ruined my career.
And now you work the door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it goes to show you, if you run the light there, they will hire you at some point. No, I think that's great. I think that it's like that. Just you're a fan of comedy, you respect the craft. I think that there's a healthy sort of middle ground of like not like worshiping at the altar, but also like respect. And man, when you're working the back door specifically too, like people will just walk past you and go, I'm a comic. And I'm like, are you? Or like, so I had a guy just like point at the wall, and I'm like, your name's not, I think he was just like trying to like, I'm a comic. Let me in. And
it was like,
it's a bummer sometimes, man.
He's just pointing at like fucking like Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. It was probably Crystalia. Or, one of those. Yeah.
He tries again. He comes back in the sunglasses with the mustache.
Yeah. He's on somebody's shoulders. They got a trench coat. This guy's tall.
Me, Tony Clifton. Huh?
Yeah. Oh man, that was one of my first memories. So I did that bringer show, and then Tony Clifton was doing like the Tony Clifton review in the main room. I don't know if you've ever been in the belly room, green room, but there's a hole, and you can see into the main room. I remember watching that from the belly room and being like, this is incredible. Like, I can't believe I'm here right now. And that was on such a like low level, man. I drank fucking Cisco. Is it Cisco? The stuff that tastes like cough syrup. It's like a malt liquor sort of drink. It's sweet. It's kind of like Mad Dog 2020
Cisco
stuff. I don't know.
Is that the one that's filtered through the thong?
That is the one that's filtered through the thong. It's got some interesting notes.
I'm so confused right now.
You don't know the thong song by Cisco? All right. Well, we have a younger crowd.
Damn, this is tight as fuck. Wait, how old are you, Ryan?
I'm 27.
Oh, damn, what I wouldn't give.
to be 27.
Yeah.
I thought you were like, to not know the thong song.
Yeah.
To rediscover it.
No, I mean, dude, I think that video was a sexual awakening for me.
Sure.
Dude, I was like, oh, that, and then Outkast album, was it Stankonia? Yeah, that was the one with Miss Jackson on it. The photos in the CD, there was a girl in army fatigue shorts, and that like, it blew my mind. Like it set me up for the rest of my life and like what I'm into, dude. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry to get sexual here. Is that okay?
No, that makes sense.
You're just like into like military wives.
Yeah. That's it. No way, dude. Fuck those poor women. Anyway, I mean, shout out to the troops. Good,
Shout out to Joel's the other man.
I support the troops and their wives.
No, this haircut is because God took my hair away, not because I'm in basic training.
When did you start losing your hair?
I don't know. Probably a lot earlier than I recognized it. I was a server at this job, and I still had hair at the time, and I'd go into the kitchen, and the cooks started like making fun of, like, they would like point at the back of my head. Somebody has a joke, I can't remember who it is, about like finding out you're bald from like other people, and that's exactly, they started pointing. I thought I had a cowlick like for a long time, and I did, but it started like spreading. And the kitchen was bright, and you could really see it. And I was like, "Fuck this, man!" Because everybody's seen the guy trying to hold on to it. Yeah. And the longer it is, the worse it looks. So I just fucking got rid of it, dude. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, your head looks good, man. You got a nice tan. Yeah, whatever. I'll probably tattoo my head at some point. So.
Real quick.
Now we're really getting
hell
started.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. That's where the wisdom is, dude.
Sometimes I'll do it like in the middle of someone's sentence, and it'll completely throw off the vibe.
You ever do it on stage?
No.
Into the mic?
Ooh, you should.
Yeah.
That's a real power move, dog.
Yeah, Ryan died last night.
Let's do this.
He cracked too hard.
He killed and died.
Yeah, I died and then I killed.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Comedy Jesus. Wait, he didn't kill anybody, did he?
No, but he was good at speaking to large groups of people.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I gotta know. So I asked you guys this before, but I wanted to, do it for the people that are watching. But the "don't fly" thing, where does that come from?
so that's something that was our sign off from Isimo, but it originated because the story is that when I was little, like maybe like 5 or 6, my older brother and I used to fight all the fucking time.
Okay.
So we would just like be running around playing outside, and then we would start fighting with each other. And one day we were fighting, and my grandpa, who's from Mexico, like comes out, and he meant to tell us, "Hey, don't fight."
Gotcha.
But he doesn't speak English very well, so he goes, "Hey, don't fly."
Great.
So then we all looked at it. Was like one of those like cartoon moments where we
Yeah.
like looked at each other and then looked at him, and he was embarrassed. Like I feel bad because he's like
Oh,
he knew
man.
he said something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we all just like started laughing.
Yeah.
So
Real Brady Bunch moment.
yeah, but that was the thing is like that became like our like salutations, or I don't know what the word I didn't salutations, grandfather.
Yeah, for sure.
But like when we say bye, whenever we would visit, and we say bye to each other, we'd be like, "Don't fly."
Damn. So you've had it since you were like 5.
yeah, it's been a
love
thing.
that.
It's been a thing. Don't fly.
I thought you guys were afraid of airplanes.
Oh yeah.
This fool is.
For real. I thought it was like I thought somebody had like known someone in a crash, and you're just like, don't fly.
No, I just I have bastophobia. I've never been on a plane.
Damn, wild. Are
do
you? Yeah, sorry. Go
Oh
ahead.
no. You go first.
I was just gonna ask. Would you for comedy? Like, say you get booked on a show in New York or something.
that's
Say,
something.
if there was no like if they were like, but you need to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd have no choice.
Yeah,
But otherwise, I try to figure out how to drive everywhere or
Gotcha.
get a ride everywhere. I also
I
don't
was like
drive.
that too, man. I didn't fly till I was
Very
maybe
disabled.
25, 26. I used to do like theater for a while, and I got like nominated for this award, and they called me to tell me I got it. They're like, "You're coming to the gala, blah blah blah," and I was like, immediately I start sweating. I'm like, where is that? And they're like, "Oh, it's in New York." And then I was like, "Fuck!" They're like, "We're gonna fly you out," and I was like, before that, I would try to figure out how to do a train or something. I'm like, I'll leave a week ahead of time, whatever, shit like that. But eventually I did it. I just took Xanax and drank on the plane, and then you know, like when you're like, you shouldn't drink on Xanax at all, but and this is I think what happens with like let me try to form this thought with social media, with all that, you will look until you find the thing that supports your thought, right? So like
Right,
I remember
confirmation
we had
bias.
Wi-Fi on the plane. Everything said don't drink on Xanax. I kept Googling till I found a thing that was like, you're probably going to be fine. And I was like, there it is. I'm fucking done,
There
dude.
it is, page 36 on Google.
That's right. No shit, dude. Probably.
And it was like off of like Bobby Zan's blog. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lil Xan. He was 5 back then. No, I don't know. Yeah.
He's consistent. He's
I don't know why that
consistent.
reminded me of this joke I used to have about having bastophobia, where I hate when people try to convince me to fly in planes.
Yeah.
Because they say the same shit every time and it does not make sense, where they're like, you're more likely to get in a car crash on the way to the airport than to die in a plane crash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I'm not going to go to the airport.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
it's less of a reason.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend any time around an airport if it's
Yeah,
that
for sure.
dangerous.
Yeah.
That's like,
It's a war zone down there.
that's like if I was afraid that someone was poisoning my water and someone's like, you're more likely to smash the cup into your face than you are to drink. I'm like, so I'm avoiding cups altogether.
Do you have like a rational, like, or like practices when you go on airplanes?
No, I mean, no. I used to be real scared of flying. Now I'm a little bit better at it. But no, you always have that moment when you're like maybe 2 hours into the flight where you're like, oh, I'm fucking, this could, all be bad for me. I don't even want to say it. I'm like, no, but also what helps me too is people say most plane crashes and stuff like that happen on the takeoff or the landing. So once I'm in the air, I'm okay now. But every takeoff, I'm like, is this it?
I don't get nervous until the plane is right about to take off. And then I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Then, I have that thought of like, I remember, like, I don't have a fear of flying, but it was a
You
thing.
think you're better than me? Don't answer that.
I mean,
I said don't answer it.
so I like don't have a fear of flying, but I remember one time I was on a plane and I was about to take off, and like you start to feel the vibrations, and like the thought was like, I haven't told anyone I love them yet.
Yeah, I have that sometimes too. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I haven't told anybody I love them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a good practice, huh? To tell somebody you love them before you get on an airplane.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I have this like urge to be good at Twitter. I'm not good at Twitter.
All right, connect the dots for me, please.
But I want like I'm hoping that my last words were like the funniest shit ever. Like I have this
They're gonna
I'm
be
trying to remember
fuck.
like a solid tweet of mine that I wish like got more recognition, but I'd have to look through my Twitter to make it work. I just want like it'd be funny to be like it'd be funny if like I died and then the last tweet that I ever tweeted was tiny mini wheats are a stupid idea. Is that just me?
Yeah.
No, we'll read that at your funeral.
That's a real thing that they invented.
Tiny mini wheats?
Yeah, they made mini wheats.
We should just call them tiny wheats.
Yeah. And it's
Wheatie.
dumb.
Well,
It's-
Wheaties is taken.
Well, this is harder than I thought.
Yeah.
I was hoping that
Yeah. Look, I don't work in advertising. Believe it or not. I think just telling your friends you love them and hugging them is a good practice. We all know, like in stand-up, it's sad. You do lose a lot of people, and you never know when the next time you're gonna see somebody or what they're going through. So I try to do that.
Yeah, you'll never know when the last time they bomb is.
Yeah,
it's gonna
for
be
sure.
the last time they bomb.
Probably, yeah. Fuck, man. Yeah, and that was like that's a thing I think that I'm grateful my friends aren't like they're not afraid to do, you know, because I think there was times where you'd like whatever, you don't want to tell your friends you love them, your guy friends. I like to tell my guy friends when they look good, when they're doing well. I'm trying to big them up,
Because I used to. I'm kind of afraid of flying. I've done it enough, I think.
Yeah.
But like, I just kind of like ignore reality for a while. Like that's how I get through it.
Yeah.
I realize that's a pattern in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude.
Like, this is getting hard. I'm gonna pretend reality is not reality for a while.
Yeah.
And but like I would just kind of ignore that the plane's taking off and just look straight forward. And really, I started to get more stressed up by that because like you're just so confined.
Yeah.
And you just have to interact with people.
Yeah.
Complete strangers. And like there was a guy at the window seat, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I was in the middle, and he was like, kind of like, it's like, oh yeah, like I like the window seat, but like when you get up, you have to interrupt two people's time.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, yeah, it kind of forces you to be an asshole. And I just felt him tighten up, and I'm like, fuck. And it is like immediately the plane is barely taken off, and immediately I'm like, already bombed with this guy.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Yeah. The only thing that you could have done worse is like, hey, what do you think about this Israel-Palestine situation? Oh, we're taking off now? Okay, cool.
Right,
everyone else is trying to make friends and tell people they love them, and Ricky's like, I'm gonna make some enemies today.
Yeah, for sure, as it should be, man.
And then like my reaction to that was just to pass out and like also accidentally fall asleep on him too. It's like,
accident.
Good.
I like the window because you can sleep and you don't have to worry about getting up for anybody.
A trick that I learned is to if you get the middle seat, it's to literally just bring a hoodie and one of those neck pillows.
Yeah.
Because I just like create like a little,
Me too.
like a sleeping bag kind of thing with a sweater. Like I'll just put my arms in like that, and then.
Do you
like,
sleep well on planes?
No, but I can.
Awful.
Like, no, there's no good way to be on a plane.
Yeah, neck pillows suck, man. Somebody's got a bit about that right now.
Well,
like,
I saw
really
what's his name? Is it Preacher Lawson? Who had that? He had like a video go viral because he's like, you're supposed to put it on the other way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, you just did.
It's fine. People like this. They like the raw, unfiltered thing. Hell yeah.
Preacher Lawson has a video on that. That's where I learned how to like use a neck pillow.
What is it? Because I think I remember that, and I was like thinking about it the last time I flew. I was like, what am I doing wrong?
Well, he was like, it doesn't give you any support, and when you're sleeping on a chair, you tend to lean forward.
Okay.
So he's like, put it the other way. That way, if you lean forward, you have cushion, and you're not going to strain your neck.
Man,
I think that's right. But as someone who has undiagnosed sleep apnea, I was like, am I just going to kill myself?
Fuck, dude. Yeah, or you come really hard. Yeah. Anyway.
Either way, both bad to do on a plane.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody, I saw a tip one time that was like, if you go on vacation, make sure that you clean your house before you leave.
Yeah.
That way when you get home, like you come home to like a refreshing,
For sure.
like, but I can't do that.
Me either.
I like leave my house a mess. I think this, I don't know if this is OCD, but it's like an irrational fear where it's like, oh, I can't die because my room is a mess.
Uh-huh.
And if I died, that would be so embarrassing.
Yeah, I saw this like murderer documentary on Netflix or something, and they like he had killed somebody, and the dead person, they were like talking. Yeah, we found. They said something about their house being a mess, and I'm like, they're dead. Can we not fucking also be like, yeah, their house was gross. They got murdered.
You know what? They kind of deserved it.
Yeah. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and what's
Now that
closer to
was next to
godliness than death? Sorry, no, go ahead. I want to hear it, please. I bet it was great.
I said, now that person's next to God.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Say it
okay.
again, but nicer.
I need a minute. I'm sorry.
No, you're
No
good.
worries.
Take 2. Take 37. I'm here all week. Yeah. Hell yeah. Do you guys edit this shit after? Like you do? So these, yeah. Hell yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you, because you touched on it a little bit, because you come from like the Comedy Store, and I know the Comedy Store has its reputation for like being very like male dominated, and there's a lot of like macho energy.
Yeah.
How's that for you? Like you're saying now, and I think it has been changed, or at least like I don't fucking know what happens there, but like people are in general becoming a lot more like aware with each other and like more like communicative with each other. Like how's your experience like coming up?
It's great. I think I've always sort of had like I kind of like snuck in there like in a weird way, like playing drums and all that, was able to like get in there, and it used to be like that. It's changed a lot. Like Emily LaFord, the booker there, she's like awesome, and she's really like bringing new blood in there and making sure that like the lineups are like diverse, and not even like in a woke way, just like a cool different perspective way, and just all these different sort of walks of life and stuff. I think she's done a really great job at like what I think that the new Comedy Store is, and I feel really comfortable there. And but there was a time where it had like a reputation, you know, and I'm glad it's not like that anymore. Or you know, I'm sure it's still around. I'm positive that just goes with life. But yeah, was that your question?
Yeah,
say no, dude. Challenge me.
Well, I just mean like, because I remember I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for a while. Like I remember when we first met at Chatterbox, and it was like, I was like, oh shit, it's fucking Joel. And like, I felt like such a, I feel like I fucking like big, what is it called? Big leagued him twice. Where like he came up to me and be like, I love the clips, dude. And like,
I did, man.
Yeah, and which
sure.
I was like, what? That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
And then there was one time where me and Ricky were hosting the open mic, and like we had both just got there like right before it was gonna start, and then we were talking about what we were gonna say, and then fucking Joel Jimenez comes up, and he's just like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" And we're like, "What?" We were like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" But then we just kept back to our conversation. Yeah. And he was like, "I'll let you guys do what you're gonna do." And then
I was remember. Like, you guys were prepping. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh fuck!" I just fucking like cold shouldered Joel.
Not at all, dude.
And then the whole time the mic, I was like, because the thing is like when we first met, I was like, there's something about me and Joel needed to be friends.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I'd watch your guys' clips and be like, oh, I want to be like in with this, whatever this is, you know?
Yeah, so then it was like every time we saw each other, it was always like misconnections from that point forward. And then it was just like, I'm just going to reach out to this
And here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird, like, because like there's a point where like, and I'm sure you felt this a lot of like, where you see yourself at one level, and then other people start to value you a lot more. It doesn't track to you for a while.
Yeah, because it's my life. It's like not
You're like, I'm still struggling with the same things I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
And then like, so you came to Chatterbox and like, oh, I like what you guys do.
Yeah.
And everything. And I was like, oh, really? Like that can go the other direction?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. You never know who's fucking watching shit now too with the internet. It's like, you know, I think, yeah, I don't know. Always happy to see fucking young brown people doing shit, you know?
That's kind of what I wanted to ask you too. Now, we don't obviously have to get like super political about it, but like, I feel like we were very fortunate in that we came up in a space where like there was a lot of brown people around us. Like, you know, there's a lot of Latinos around us. And I feel like people that are like in the class like ahead of us didn't get that, especially that you started like performing at the Comedy Store regularly, and like that generally, not that there wasn't like diversity, but there's not a lot of like Latinos at the Comedy Store.
I still think there's not a lot really now. I mean there's more, but I don't know. Yeah, there was a lot of white people around. I mean, it was like Because also you see all the different like scenes, right? Like you have the full on like Latino scenes like in different pockets. I mean, everywhere's different. I mean, you even have like weird like the Burbank, North Hollywood shit West Hollywood I didn't have a car for a long time, so I was like taking the bus a lot. So I would just go to whatever was closest, and I'm like in Silver Lake or shit like that. You're gonna get a lot of like white people there.
Yeah.
Now I enjoy it, like, because I think I can get away with saying a lot because they have to listen to me. Like I'll say crazy shit, and they kind of have to be like let me speak, you know. So I do. There are times where I like making people uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a little bit of payback.
Yeah,
for years
sure.
past.
Yeah. I don't think I've reached the full reparations of it all, but
the comedy reps.
Yeah, comedy reps. Yeah. But did you guys start out in Covina?
We started out at Chatterbox. Yeah.
Man, I love that place. That was like when I had first started. For me, like when Steve booked me the first time, I felt like I had made like another step. You know, it was like a big deal for me to be on that show. And so now it's like, that's why I'll still go. I mean, I still think it's one of the best open mics around, you know?
Yeah, the open mic is great. The energy is always good there. It feels cool because it's, it's just a little dive bar, but it always feels like, in my head, there's like 3 places where like, this is where comics go. And it's like the store, Lyric Hyperion.
Yeah.
And then Chatterbox, and it's like those are like the regions, like that's like in my like head canon is like that's where people go. So it's like, oh, if you're in at Chatterbox, like you're doing something right
For sure. Yeah, Steve's a great judge of like stand up and stuff. I think the lineups there are really good. I feel like if Steve is booking you or friendly with you, whatever, I think he sees that people have something. You know, he's been around for a while. He's a great comic. I saw him at an open mic the other day, and he was like, he crushed, dude. It was great. It was like fucking, I don't know, it was awesome. I remember Steve used to do these like shirtless pics. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
And I remember he's like, Joel, get out here. Like took my shirt off. Like did a photo. I was like, I got a fucking the shirtless photo with Steve, dude. I'm fucking in, man.
How long?
I was done.
How long have you been performing? Because you started stand-up before you got on Kill Tony, right?
Yeah, I started December 21st, 2011.
Damn, this was his date.
11 years.
Wow.
It's fucking crazy, dude. It's wild to look back at all that. And because it doesn't feel like work, but if you look back, you're like, yeah, it sucked for a long time. And still, it's fucking never ending, man. I think about like headliners, they tape an hour and now they're just back to zero like everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Sorry, you asked. I'm fucking all over the place.
No, you're good. So you've been doing comedy for 11 years. How'd you get started? Like, it's weird because I feel like, again, in particularly for Latinos in Los Angeles, I feel like a lot of Latinos that I've seen do comedy are not from LA. Like they're usually from like Texas or from New York. They're from other areas, and then they move to LA. I don't know a ton of like Latinos that started here.
Yeah. I mean, this is where we live. I think it all started because I think my whole life I was trying to do it. You know, I wanted to be like an actor when I was a kid, and I loved Jim Carrey and all that. But like my idols were Chris Rock and George Carlin, so I thought stand up was impossible. I was like, these guys are superheroes. You know, there's no way. And then I started doing theater, and then I met this guy who was working backstage, and he was from Boyle Heights, and he's like, we would do bits backstage before like I would go out, like I'm like a T-Rex bartender and like all just a bunch of shit, right? Like, and he's like, hey, I take this improv class in Boyle Heights. There's a place called Casa 101 now it's like Little Casita, and they have the big one, but our buddy Luke Lizalde, he had done improv at UCB, like did it as far as he could, Groundlings as far as he could, Second City as far as he could, and he took all his notes from those classes and taught like a free or donation based class in Boyle Heights. I never paid anything, maybe $5, and he's like, you should come take this class. And so I went there, and I realized like through these improv things that things I would say made people laugh, and I was like, oh, maybe this is like possible. And then podcasts were big too. Like I had a back fucking little iPod like shuffle. And so they told me to listen to the Nerdist podcast, and they would talk a lot about open mics. And I was like, oh, okay. So you just go sign up for this mic. And I remember I went to the Nerd Melt, which is gone now, just to watch. I brought like a 6-pack and like sit in the crowd and was like kind of checking out what was going on. I'd never seen open mic comedy, just the top, finished shit.
Right.
And so I went back the next weekend, signed up. They didn't call my name, but I met a guy in the shop who like gave me a flyer for another one. This was on a Sunday. His mic was like on a Thursday or like a Wednesday. And I went to that. I did like 2 little airplane shots of Jack Daniels. Went up and it like went okay, And I remember going to pee afterwards and be like, I'm a fucking comedian now, and then I met people there. They invited me the next day to the Hollywood Hotel. I don't know if you guys ever like knew that place.
I've just heard bad stories.
Yeah, it could be great and it could be fucking awful. But he invited me there, and then after that, I got invited to Fridays at the Silver Lake Lounge. I did that mic for like 5 years every Sunday. And then it just became my life. Like, you're just around it, your friend groups. I felt like I had found my tribe, because I remember feeling out of I dropped out of high school. Mm-hmm. So I never did theater in high school. I was never a theater kid. And when I was doing theater, I would hear these people say like, oh my God, we're the island of misfit toys. And I was like, well, I feel like a misfit around you guys. So what does that make me, And my friend Greg was like a comedian. And I was like, okay, cool. So this is my group. And then I got that like theater award. And then I remember I started to resent theater because it was taking me away from stand-up. I couldn't wait to be done with it. And then when I was done with it, I was like really head first into it, I don't think I know how to do a lot of things like half. I just kind of like, it's all or nothing, which is why I don't drink anymore.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it just got me thinking about like when I started, and I feel like that was kind of a weird thing. I can't really speak for Dominic, but we've talked about it before a little bit, where when we were coming into it, we had like a very specific mindset, and part of that was because like we'd been into watching stand-up since we were like children. Like our dad loved watching comedy specials, so we'd watch with him, and then that was like, we're pretty spread out, our brothers, and so like the one thing that we all had in common, no matter what age we were, was we would watch comedy specials together. And so I feel like we had this mindset of like kind of understanding what it meant to be like doing stand-up before going into it. So at least personally, I didn't have that mentality of the idea of like becoming professional stand-up was on a pedestal, but the act of doing it was something that I very quickly was like, oh, people just do this until it works.
Wild. Yeah, I never had that.
For myself, I didn't. It's something, stand-up comedy for me has always been something that was around, but I never thought about it. It's like I almost thought about comedians as a natural resource. Like, oh, they're just there. Like,
exactly.
You just are.
Me too.
And when people introduce themselves to me as they're a comedian, I was like, oh, that's just what they do. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't consider that like, oh, I could just become a comedian.
Yeah, you could work at it.
Especially the way that they talk about comedy because I would listen to like You Made It Weird a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And like they talk about the way that they talk about stand up on the East Coast and how people were coming up like from the 70s and to the 90s. And it was like you kind of just they made it seem like you just started getting work right, like you were in the ecosystem of like entertainment and like comedy. So I never thought like, oh, I could do that. I just loved comedy. It was never crossed my mind until my older brother started taking me to Chatterbox.
Cool.
But he was going to the book show and he was going to the open mic. And so I would go to the open mic after work with him. And like, it was funny because Steve was the one that was like, are you ever going to go up? Or like, do you just like comedy?
Yeah.
Because we would talk about stuff like at the time, we were talking about seeing Ali Wong because I saw her at Hot Tub right before Baby Cobra dropped.
Okay, cool.
So I was like, we were talking about Ali Wong, we were talking about comedians, and he was like, oh, we got some comedy lovers here,
Yeah.
And so he goes, are you ever going to go up or do you just like comedy? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking about it. And he's like, you just got to do it, dude.
Yeah.
You just got to do it. He said, you do it once, you're either going to hate it, you'll never do it again, or you're going to love it and it'll ruin your life.
Yeah.
And 4 years later, I sold my house.
Damn, wild. Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. I bought a house when I was 24 with my older brother.
Shut the fuck up. No, I said shut up. No, yeah.
It was not a good idea. I shouldn't have done it. I mean, I'm glad it helped me out years later. Now I'm like kind of back to square one.
Where the fuck did you buy a house?
It was my grandma's house.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Damn, you bought the house off your grandma.
yeah.
That's
so
tight.
There was a lot of stuff in place that like me and my brother were both making decent money for being 24 and not going to college. I was making like $52K a year.
What did you do?
I was I was a shipping manager.
An oil baron.
Oil baron getting paid $50,000 a year.
That was getting ripped off.
Close. I worked for a vape company.
Damn.
Yeah, I was a e-liquid manufacturing
Big
company.
tobacco, dude.
No, it was Big Tobacco, Little Vape. That was our hashtag.
Okay.
That was our
Really?
Big Tobacco, Little Vape.
Fuck, man. I love vapes. I gotta stop. Like, I don't do it. I'm addicted to nicotine. Like, once I quit drinking, I didn't even smoke. I smoked a little bit as a teen, but they make these like these nicotine toothpicks, and Jesse Johnson used to always have them, and I was like, it'd be funny if I got addicted to nicotine through toothpicks, and then it happened.
That is still funny though.
Yeah, but now at the store, I'm just like, let me hit your vape. Let me hit your fucking,
No, I can't have one.
Yeah. When my friend's like, here, hold it for a while. It's bad, dude. I just start like fucking ripping on it. But
Burn out their coils.
damn, dude, you fucking had a house.
Yeah.
And now what's going on?
Now I'm living in a music studio.
Hell yeah.
My registration is two years old.
Damn, hell
All in the name of comedy.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
But that's what, I mean, it's whatever. I'm not complaining. I just got back from El Paso.
Yeah.
I did some shows out there
Cool.
and like with, do you know who Omar Nava is?
Yeah, of course. I love him. He's a good friend of mine. Yeah.
He booked us out there, booked me and Jenny Robbins, who's from El Paso.
Me, Omar, and our buddy Gil, we're going to do a show called Four Locos, but FOR.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
My homie Carlos used to have a joke where like we would get tore up on Four Locos.
Yeah.
Like he would like he's like, I could only have two.
Yeah.
And you're like, I never get to meet the fourth loco.
Yeah, for sure. That fourth loco stabs you.
Yeah.
For me, the second one is a colorful throw up.
Fuck, man. I've only had it once, and it was after they took all the caffeine out of it. But I
know.
did used to drink Sparks, too.
Damn.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I remember like walking through the Glendale Galleria with like a backpack full of Sparks, and just like, it just makes boring things fun.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm just boring
Sometimes
and
too
fucking
much.
old and tired all the time.
Now I'm going to see the Super Bloom.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I know. You got to
my-
grow up.
Got my Zyrtec.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah, I know. I took Claritin this morning, dude. I'm not trying to die.
Zyrtec and allergy medicine.
You got to start taking Claritin a week before you go, though. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
you think so?
You got to take one a day a week before.
I've been taking it for years.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
you just take it day of. I'm like, man, I'm doing things wrong.
Is that true? Does it have to like get into your body, or are you just spreading misinformation?
That's what I was led to believe.
Okay.
That to get the full effects of it, you have to take it for like 2 weeks,
Okay.
like one a day.
What a political answer, though. That's what I was led to believe. I'm gonna start saying that for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I did that because I used to live with these big ass cats. Like
Okay.
I had a roommate that had like humongous cat. Like literally, I would be sitting like in the kitchen on my computer, and like a fucking ball of fur, like the size of a baseball, would just like float
Like a
in the
tumbleweed,
air.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm allergic to cats.
Okay.
So like for the first, I developed a resistance, but also I had to take Claritin for like a month.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it became like, as long as they didn't like rub themselves on my face or like go on my room, like I was
Yeah.
fine.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what
Hell
they say.
yeah, dude. Fuck, we got the producer fucking with the facts.
It going
Claritin
back- yeah.
Claritin starts to work after 3 hours, Josh said.
There you go.
Going back, because you kind of said that starting comedy is like almost like you consciously were choosing community.
Yeah.
Like was that really a conscious choice of yours?
No. I think I was chasing like ego and stage time and wanting to be good, and I think that because I enjoyed the community so much, I was like, oh, this is it. Because that is a dangerous trap. We've all known people they're in it for the scene and they never get any better, and they're doing it for 10 years and they get fucked up every night, and it's like it's more like a hangout than a work thing. And I think now too, like I have no problem with showing up, doing my spot, and leaving.
Yeah.
I just want to work on stuff, you know. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The community was just like a byproduct of it. And I think that got me into trouble too, because I was like, I assumed that because we were all comedians that we were all like, you're my brothers in arms, and you forget people are not. They're still people, you know?
Let's get donuts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Dude.
for sure. Let's play D&D.
Because the way I started was like, I just needed, I had, sorry.
Keep going. You can do no wrong.
We're doing eyes at each other because that donuts thing is like a long-standing reference between us.
I love inside comedy. Back to you in the
Well,
studio.
I had eyes at two people because he mentioned the donut story, and then Joel dropped D&D, and I was like,
I know you guys.
We're just signaling each other like
Yeah.
people on Rick's side.
I was talking about death and destruction, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
oh shit.
The album.
That's funny. One time after my set, a cholo came up to me and was like, "Hey fool, I just wanted to tell you that I really fuck with your comedy."
Hell yeah.
He's like, "I think about death all the time too, dog."
Damn,
but he
dude.
has like legitimate reasons.
yeah,
to think
yeah. He
about
killed
it.
somebody. Yeah.
Dominic's like, I'm just anxious.
Yeah,
Imagine
for
like
sure.
the next time he shanks somebody, he's thinking about you.
He laughs. Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah.
Hey, fool, you
That's
like
punchline.
being held for ransom?
Yeah. Hey, fool, you like giggling? I'm either going to stab you or you're coming to the chatterbox with me, fool.
Coochie-coo.
Yeah.
Twisting.
I know those are jokes, but that is a scary image. Like that's like cholos would do that shit and make it
Fuck,
scary.
man. Yeah. That's wild. I'm trying to think of, because you did kill Tony a few times before we like met.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess that you know the specific joke that I made about you, but maybe I'm
Honestly, I've forgotten.
okay.
Because
He got excited.
I don't know. Because I can't remember it. I
I
think,
was I got overwhelmed.
yeah, of course.
Like-
I think I said you look like if Millhouse joined a metal band or something.
Oh, okay.
It was
okay.
something like that. You do look very Simpson-y.
Yeah, cool. I'll take it.
Yeah. This yellow shirt's not doing you any favor.
The roast battle jokes. When I did the roast battle one time, I think Jamar Neighbors and some other comics, they roasted me better than anyone ever
Fuck,
has.
man, yeah.
Like they said I looked like a magic carpet repairman. They said I looked like the only vampire with a website.
Fuck, man.
And I was like, these are the best roasts I've
Yeah.
ever heard in my life. And no one ever roasted me that good.
Damn.
And they were from the sidelines.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but yeah, I did kill Tony. It was overwhelming. I felt like I was a weirdo. But
I feel like it's I haven't done Kill Tony. I haven't even been to Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a hard stage to be
I tell
on.
people don't do it. Like, don't. A lot of people were like, I want it to be my first time on stage. I'm like, don't, man. Go fucking toil in obscurity, and then
Yeah, because Dominic introduced it to me, but we were listening to it like the early years.
Yeah.
And it's like when it was like an open mic kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
you like Iron Patriot shit?
Yeah.
And it was like at that time that was kind of the point, so it was not huge. But once it became like a thing, it was definitely like often the advice was only go if you know you have one joke that will either do really well or you'll be able to like match them when they try to roast you.
Yeah.
Like, only go if you're absolutely prepared for the vibe. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can't even do crowd work. Like, I've not done crowd work. I've been doing comedy for 7 years.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with crowd
That's
work.
fine.
Like,
That's good.
Like, so I'm like, I have to really be in a zone to riff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can handle that shit.
Yeah, I think people do too much crowd work sometimes now, and with all the clips and stuff, it's starting to kind of
Yeah.
fuck things up. Because I have friends who they'll tour and people think they're helping, like to get clips and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like kind of detrimental. I
now
think.
they have a real argument too.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah. Oh,
They'll say I'm helping as they're
I-
being escorted out. And you're like, no, you're fucking not.
I
Yeah.
wipe my own ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
save that for fucking Matt Rife, dog. Like,
Yeah.
Was that a Big Daddy reference?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, crowd work, my way of handling it is just don't fucking give them any attention. Just keep doing your jokes. Very few times have I had to like actually address what somebody says.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
it's also the thing too that people don't realize, and I'm not gonna name any names, but it's like people that do crowd work, a lot of them practice crowd work like how like rappers practice ciphers, where they have these stuff in their head bank of like, this is what I'm gonna say if this situation pops up. So like people practice their crowd work.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's in the performance of making it look like
natural.
the natural off the cuff shit.
That reminded me. I immediately thought of that old Dave Chappelle sketch where he's like parroting 8 Mile. Where are you from? Why is your shirt so stupid?
Yeah. Spaghetti. I remember that. I like that stuff. I think that like pre-planned improvs can be really good. I think I don't know. I don't mind it sometimes.
No, it's cool. Like I'm not hating.
Don't backtrack, dude. No.
I'm not hating on crowd work. I'm just like for people that don't know.
Yeah.
That they're like that person in the crowd getting escorted. Like I'm helping the show. It's like this is all part of it. You know. It's like. It's not as much as you think it is. Like there are people that are fucking great at just riffing, like fucking Mario, dude.
Yeah,
Mario Rodriguez. That dude works so hard on being able to like think quickly.
Damn incredible,
and
man.
like that he'll go up and just riff city, like
Yeah, the first 2 people I thought of when we started talking about it was Mario and Martin. Martin's really good at it.
Martin Amini.
Yeah,
he's great too.
You know who's the fucking man, dude? Jeremiah Watkins, dude. He's one of my best friends. He's like, I've seen him do 2 shows in one night, completely different, and like he's really trying to create something special, like in that moment. It's cool to watch.
So weird. I was just like, sorry, I'm having a very autistic moment. I can smell the nicotine off that toothpaste.
Oh, it's watermelon mint flavor too.
Dude, watermelon, basil, and mint. That's the best flavor.
Basil
Damn,
is
hell
mint.
yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen Rick Ingram?
I've seen him.
Right,
dude, he's incredible, man. He was Chris Rock's like opener, like on all these tours. But if you ever get the chance, if he's ever at the store, you guys should come see him because he's like, he's just kind of crowd work master, dude. It's really incredible to watch, man.
I'm like 90% sure I've seen him. I'm like terrible with names though. I have to see faces.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that we've talked about this before, and obviously like the lines are disappearing. Like there's a lot more like crossover with like club versus alt.
Yeah.
But like I see people like you and people like Jeremiah, where it's like Jeremiah performs so well at the Comedy Store, I think because he's so good. But also, if he was doing this anywhere else, like he would be considered an alt comic.
Yeah,
I feel like
so interesting. Yeah. It is very, and he has bits that are, he has bits he only does in certain crowds, or if he doesn't like them, he'll like do these. Yeah, he's got a, he's
and I just want to be clear, I don't mean that as like an insult.
No, it's
like,
not. No, I think it's a compliment.
I mean?
I think it's like, well, I also think I always wanted to be a guy who could do everything.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Pepitone or like Todd Glass, like those guys, they'll work a club, they'll go do like a weird little tea shop somewhere, you know? Titles, man. Titles and all these rules that we've set up for ourselves, and there are rules to stand up, but like, are there? You know, I think sometimes I'm a slave to like these rules as well, you know?
No, it's good because we were talking about like how we each started, and that reminded me of like why I brought it up in the first place, which was like because I'm autistic, I made myself rules for comedy.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because like I was saying, like I had a mentality going in of like, you're not automatically part of it just because you start going. But I do remember like having this feeling. I was like 19 or 20 years old, and I had this feeling of like, if I don't at least try to find out how to start it, I'm never going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I was like leaving work, and I didn't want to go home right away. I just started looking up like comedy clubs. I found out at the time I was working in Pasadena, I found out that I was very close to the Ice House. I was like a 5-minute bus ride. So from that point on, twice a week I would go to the Ice House and just like go to the shows.
Cool.
And
main room or small room?
The main room. Like I'd go to the shows.
Gotcha. Okay,
and then this was like the progression of like I still didn't know how mics worked yet.
Yeah.
So I was just going to the show, and then eventually I just walked up to one of the comedians. I don't even remember his name, but I ran into a couple
Pablo
times.
Francisco.
No. It was like some white dude.
Get over here, fucker.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was curious, like, how did you get started? And he's like, you just go to the mics. Like, there's literally one here tomorrow. And then at that time, this is when Dominic and our older brother were going to Chatterbox. And so we just like randomly were talking one day. And it was like the week before.
You asked us for a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a brain fart. Give me a second. Yeah, and it was like just like kismet, kind of like a coincidence where they were also thinking about this. And so I asked them to give me a ride afterward, and So like our work friends group came with me the first couple of times. And I feel like I always think that this was like the worst thing that could have happened to me, but I did very well my very first time.
Yeah.
Especially because everyone I've ever asked was always like, you always bomb your first time. And I didn't. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they have the rule at Ice House where if you buy something, you get a receipt, you put your name in a receipt and you get the priority. Ryan, the first time he went up, I had a Subway receipt in my pocket and I signed up for him.
Wow.
So Ryan's first time was through cheating.
Yeah. You heard it here first. You know you're banned for life.
Bruce Gray, come at me, dog.
Yeah, I love Bruce, man. You hear that, Bruce? I got him. You're not making it out of here alive, dude. Did you know you were gonna go up, or was this like you did it on the sly where he didn't know?
Well, I think that was the thing of like they weren't paying attention to the receipts as long as like it was just a random receipt.
For sure.
So part of it was they were all signing any receipt they had in their pocket plus whatever drinks they bought. They're putting my name first.
Damn.
But then I got called right away.
Damn,
like I was like the third person called that day.
That was a good mic too. It
was great.
Yeah.
I heard it's come back.
Yeah, they just re-opened. The Bus family bought it.
Yeah,
they bought the Ice House. Yeah,
that shit bussin'?
Yeah, that's bussin'. Yeah, I like what you did there. Don't do it again. I think.
But it was funny because, well, it's going back to the mentality of like since then I've had opportunities to like live with family as like rent got higher. I have issues finding work sometimes because I'm disabled, and it's a struggle. And the thing is like I always. It was hard to explain to certain family members like why I wanted to keep doing this no matter where I was going. And it was always a thing of like, if I was not good at this right away, I probably would have moved by now.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's because I'm good at it that I'm still here.
Yeah.
Like it's one of these things that I have where like when I know I'm good at something, I just like have all of the confidence towards that thing.
Yeah.
And the other part of it was like that I kept a rule book in my head so that I wouldn't like overthink it, which is ironic.
Yeah.
But like the first rule was don't be afraid of bombing. You know, like get through.
Tough, man.
When I tell other people it's everyone bombs, but I didn't bomb my first time, so it was like
I didn't
so
either.
We all
but it was
believe
like don't be afraid of bomb. Just get through your set. It was the thing of like don't the specific rule is if you're bombing, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of people where, especially when it's their first time, they don't do well and they expected to do well because they're the funniest guy in their office, and so they start talking about how they're not doing well, and then they start pacing in their brain, and you can like watch them focus on the joke that didn't land.
Yeah.
And then they get mad at the audience, and it's like, now you're just having a panic attack on stage. You're not even doing comedy anymore.
Yeah.
And the second rule was don't sit on the stool.
Okay.
Because I saw this dude who he's much better now. I don't mind saying his name, Boy Ugly. His first ever time at the Chatterbox.
Cut that out.
He did 8 minutes and he sat on the stool. And the funniest thing about it was
He was tired.
They kept flashing him the light. And he kept looking at it and nodding.
Yeah.
Because he saw everyone else doing that.
Fuck.
But after 8 minutes of them continuously shining the light at him, he was like, by the way, what's the light for?
Oh my God.
And he was the funniest
Dude,
thing
so at Potluck a few maybe like a month ago, this guy was on stage, he was running the light, we start flashing it, and he's doing a joke about how he's not self-aware, and he just like was running it, and so Bruce goes and starts flipping the house lights on and off, and it was, I don't know, it was really funny, man. It's like probably mortified now, but yeah. It's funny that I think those rules are they're more like rules about how to approach being on stage, because when I see you, I feel like you're very like open to a lot of things. I mean, the impressions and the balloons, and you had the I drink your milkshake thing and all that, and it's like, to me, you're very creative and sort of exist outside of these rules that we've set up, but right. I think because you had those rules, you like explore within those things, but you don't seem like a rule-based guy on stage. You seem very like open format in a way. Yeah,
it was my mentality going in, and this is where I feel like I'm not different because I'm autistic, but this was part of it.
Yeah.
Was it was less like I always appreciated like feeling. I always definitely felt validated when other people told me I was good.
Yeah.
But that was never my goal coming in. Is not to sound like
It was in a question.
not to sound like a reality show, but I didn't come to make friends.
Yeah.
It was a thing of like at a young age. I was accidentally funny a lot. Like I would say things out of context, or like I have this thing where I say my thought. I'm having a conversation in my head, and then I say the conclusion out loud, and nobody has any context.
Yeah.
And
fuck, I do that a lot, dude.
Once I figured out why these things were funny and how they were funny, it was that epiphany moment. Like the reason I started going to the shows in the first, like one day, instead of going home, I decided to go to these shows was because it hit me that I was like, I know that I can do this. Like out the gate, I was like, even if I have to get good at it, I know that I have the mentality for it.
Yeah.
To formulate.
I had a similar thing when I first started. Like the very first time I did okay. I didn't bomb. I did okay. And I remember, so like I've talked to you about like wanting to learn the drums like my whole life. Every year I'm like fucking January 1st. I'm like, this is the year I'm going to play drums.
Let's do it, dude.
Yeah. I need to just do it.
Yeah.
But I always feel like with dancing and like with drums, I think it's because I was good at writing. I always was like, I don't know how to describe it, but in my head, I'm like, oh, my body should feel different. Like my body, like my movements should feel like something is clicking, right? Like something, there's an energy.
Tommy Davidson calls it an unnatural naturalness or a natural unnaturalness.
Right.
It's like it's a unnatural thing to do, but to get to the point where you feel natural doing this unnatural thing.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing. Which is like when I'm dancing, I'm like my body. I was like, I feel like my body should feel like it's dancing, and it doesn't. But then when I did comedy the first time, I remember I was getting off the stage, and I was like, a distinct thought of like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then that's how I kind of like, and then now I kind of feel that you get into your flow state when you're like really like having a great set.
It takes me a while to get into that. Like if I do like a 15-minute set or a 30-minute set on the road, like I start feeling like I'm cooking like maybe when I have 10 minutes left. I'm like, now I'm good. I wish I could get there sooner, but it's hard, especially not drinking, man. I was like, should I quit for a while? Because I was hammered a lot when I was doing stand-up, and it's terrifying. Now I feel everything. I would like move and be like, I can't move again. That's been a tough one the last couple of months, figuring out. I think I'm just kind of getting there. But
when did you become sober?
7 months ago, like almost, I think in September, like September 28th, I think was when I like quit. Yeah, I still do mushrooms and smoke weed every now and then. If anybody wants to send me care packages, I'll also take little vapes.
Yeah, because I remember Ricky and I hosted a show you did, and I think it was in October at Chatterbox.
Okay. Yeah.
Ish, and you had just...
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that was a tough one. But also, sometimes I just go, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to bring... Even if it's fake confidence, you got to like project whatever it is, and just own it. But it's hard, man. I still struggle with that.
What is your relationship like growing up, like around like substances and alcohol?
I don't know, man. My parents don't really drink. I think a lot of it was trying to calm anxiety. I'm a super anxious person. I like was diagnosed with like panic disorder in like the 4th grade and all that. And like I don't know. I'm sure a scientist would tell me I'm wrong, but like I don't know if I was addicted to it chemically. Now that I'm saying it, I'm completely wrong. But I was more like addicted to the feeling of not being anxious.
Right.
Which I guess
you're
is
self-medicating. You're self-medicating.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I grew up around, probably, I didn't grow up around a lot of addicts, but I did grow up around a lot of people that would drink. I mean, even now it's like normal to like drive through my neighborhood. You see like dudes out at like 11 a.m. with like Bud Light tall cans and stuff like that. It's just like a way to get through life. But, no, and then when you do stand up, you're not getting paid. You're getting drink tickets or whatever. You're doing shows at bars all the time. It's
you want
so
to make
easy.
your money's worth, and like,
yeah, man, it's so easy to just like get into a habit of drinking all the time. I don't know. I smoked a lot of weed in my teens. I was always drawn to like the chemicals myself. I don't know. I'm sure it's in my family somewhere. My dad quit drinking like on one of my birthdays, and I've kind of Never really seen him drunk now. I've seen him. I saw him have like one beer one time with dinner, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of get that too, because I feel like I have a weird relationship with alcohol.
Yeah, we've been meaning to talk to you about it.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. But part of it was like, now I was diagnosed with like depression and anxiety, and now I'm like figuring out I probably have ADHD, and like there are a lot of things that I used to do that I'm like, oh, now I understand why I like enjoyed alcohol so much. And then also, like you're saying, it was just like the culture around alcohol, you know, is very normal.
Yeah,
like it just like it's not a
billboards.
thought. Yeah. So I could see how like you kind of just it's not so much an addiction, but it is like it's not a thought.
It's definitely reinforced.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's reinforced.
I notice it more now. It's like crazy, man. Like everyone's having fun in these commercials. They don't show you where they go home and beat their kids or like shit like that. Like it's like,
oh yeah.
I had a riff one time. I was like, because I used to love White Claw, and I'm like, there's something about White Claw that's like cheery and summery, but I was like, yeah, White Claw, brown fist, dude. I go home and fucking slap the shit out of my kids when I get home. I don't have kids.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, dude. I'm not trying to pass this mental illness on, dude.
I mean, ultimately, that's what it all is, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, because from what I understand, my dad just stopped drinking at one point.
Yeah.
He was definitely an alcoholic.
Yeah. That's that old school, just cold turkey shit, you know?
Yeah. Which is like cool, but it's like, was anything ever addressed after that? Like, there's
For
always
sure.
like
trauma, dude.
Like dry. Is that like
a dry alcoholic?
Dry
yeah,
alcoholic
for sure.
behavior,
Yeah.
and then like you can learn that from your parents, and you're like, I don't get it. And like, well, you still got the residuals.
For
of
sure.
Everything.
That was one of the, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that's why a lot more therapies are physical. How am I gonna phrase this?
Somatic.
No. So there's this thing that's highly associated with autism, but it exists in everyone to a degree, of stimming. It's a physical repetitive act that allows you to control stimulus, or it's sometimes reactionary. With autistic people, it's either something to keep our focus and make us feel better, or it's a reaction to overstimulation, where like you see anxious autistic kids sometimes flash their hands or stuff. But there's a way to do like positive stimming, like controlled stimming, fidget spinners.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that was
yeah.
the thing. Or those I forget what they were
those
called.
little cubes,
fidget
cubes.
blocks.
Yeah, I've had one of those.
Yeah.
Bubble wrap, all that shit. They got those like those rubber bubble things now.
And I've noticed, and it's you know, I personally I have like a very specifically weird issue with drinking, and I'll get into that in a second. But I don't think I've ever reached that level of like I had a problem with drinking itself or substances.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that like a lot of the things I do for my anxiety and for my when I was a kid, I was like a very angry child sometimes, are also things that are starting to be recommended to go along with like overcoming, because I've noticed it was a huge thing in like the 2000s where a lot of people who were giving up like smoking or giving up alcohol would get like a very serious sweet tooth, like they would replace it with sugar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drug, like recovering addicts.
That's a physiological thing too. I think because alcohol turns into sugar in your bloodstream, it's the first thing you crave when you cut it out. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that what's become sort of, I don't right now have the reference for it to like verify that this is an actual thing, but I think that people are coupling that with like physical stimuli, so that you're not just replacing the physical craving, but you're replacing the mentality of craving that activity. Like people will eat pie and like do Sudoku, or they'll, you know, I carry a Rubik's Cube around with me when I'm overstimulated, and I just start solving it. And so I think that's kind of it's a funny concept that is mostly understood by the neurodivergent communities, where it's like if people accommodated these things more, they do benefit everyone.
For sure.
They just start with us. But fidget spinners could be a thing, like a reoccurring thing for people that are trying to address their like addictive personalities.
Yeah. I mean, that's what this is. Like the toothpick. I mean, I never smoked, but that's like the feel, all that shit, plus the chemical thing. It's like I do enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you do the thing where you like flip it around with your tongue?
I don't know if I'm that good.
Like
Yeah, you flirting with me right now?
I don't mean
What
like
that
Tom
mouth
and
do?
Jerry flip it around, just like side to side.
I tie I tie it in a
Bilateral.
knot, even though it's hardwood. Yeah.
Like,
My wood's hard right now. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
tell me about it, dude. What the
Talking
fuck?
about stimulus.
Talk about
Hey, hell yeah, dude.
Stimulus this package. Hey.
Hey.
yeah.
Fidget this spinner.
Yeah, dude.
That's a porn category.
Dude,
Yeah.
there's...
Just so
I don't remember how
serious.
it's done, but there's a move called the fidget spinner.
Okay.
I can't remember how
With
it's...
this? Or in sex?
No, it's...
That's where you just do
very
a fidget spin.
complicated.
Yeah.
Urban Dictionary.
That's what. Well, it's funny because I know everybody feels a certain way about vaping, and I'm not pro or against it. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I learned about working in that industry is that, and it's what did Danny call it? Phenomenal evidence, something instead of anecdotal evidence, it's phenomenal evidence or something like that.
Phenomenological or something.
Something like
Phenomena. Sorry.
phenomena.
Phenomena.
But anyway, I worked.
What cutting?
I worked. We used to go to a lot of conventions, so you meet a lot of people. And I worked in the industry at a time where before it became like super mainstream, like before Juul, there's a vape industry.
You're a vape hipster, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like their first album.
There is an industry that's like pre-Juul, post-Juul. PJs and BJs, you know what I'm talking
Hell
about?
yeah, dude. Now you're talking sexy, dude.
But we would go to a lot of the people that we worked with. And one of the reasons why I was pro vaping was because I was like, you meet so many people that, for one, the industry was a really big job creator. Like, I didn't go to college. A lot of people in the industry were like,
I heard Nazi Germany created a lot of jobs too. No, I'm just
Wow.
kidding. No, I'm kidding. No. Yeah.
Volkswagen.
but it was a lot of people with felonies, and it was a lot of people that were non-college educated.
Yeah.
And we're all making like,
Fuck yeah.
like good money, you know? But on top of that, like the actual product was like, there was a ton of people that I met, because obviously vaping is used to like curb nicotine and curb
For
cigarettes.
sure. Yeah. Combusted plant material.
yeah. But in my experience, there's like a huge portion that nobody ever talked about, which was like recovering addicts.
Yeah.
You get the sugar fix, you get the sweetness, but also like before you used to actually have to build, like the hobby was like you
remember those,
build
yeah.
everything. And like I met so many people that were like, this helps me because it's like
Yeah.
gives me that like whatever that part of your brain is, it gives you something else to focus
sure.
on, and kind of, so let the kids vape. You know
Damage
what I'm saying?
control.
Don't say that, don't
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
So very quickly, that was all jokes. Do not give vape to children.
We do not
We do not
encourage it.
condone or encourage that.
Unless you're a recovering addict who is also a child. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny. One time I saw these kids vaping next to a Vons in my city, and the kids are so dumb and so smart at the same time. And they stuck they bought a baguette from the Vons.
No.
And stuck the vape in there, and we're like
Hell yeah, dude.
outside
Carb
of a
loading.
subway, like
It's like the same mentality of a fleshlight. Like, oh, I'm just smoking this baguette.
Yeah. Nothing to see here, officer.
wee.
Yeah, this fresh baked bread is.
Maybe they thought that it was okay because they were French.
These are some French ass kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
That is like the most cartoony French thing, like stereotypical French thing, is to smoke a baguette.
I wanted to ask, because you're Joel Jimenez, multifaceted, right?
Yeah.
You also you are like a musician.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you were the Kill Tony band, but
Yeah.
now like you're in Mad Peaceful, which is fucking sick.
Hell yeah,
I was
thanks.
like super excited but it's with other comedians, right?
Yeah. Me,
Chappelle
Chappelle
Lace.
Lacey, Ryan Clark, who works at the Improv, Chroma Chris, who was in the Kill Tony band, and then our buddy Chase, who is like a phenomenal guitar player. Yeah, he used to do comedy, but now he's just like a guitar guy.
Were you in punk bands before this? Or
Yeah,
like,
my whole life. That was the goal as a kid, was like to be a punk drummer. Yeah. Edit that out. I'm vain and I don't want to be seen struggling ever. No, I that was the thing too, that I was like just kind of good at. Like kind of to begin with. Like I was always tapping on stuff, and then my parents were really supportive and got me a drum kit for Christmas when I was 14. And yeah, that was my goal, man, was like to be a drummer. And I think now, even with stand up and stuff, it's like I've been on stages before, so it did help a little bit with the fear, you know. But yeah, it's been fun, dude. When I started stand up, I was over being in bands. I like hated it. It was like you go on in 30 minutes, your bass player's an hour away. I hated like dealing with everyone in the band. I like just like going, getting the mic. I could do it alone. I didn't need a fucking band with me. So I like swore off it for a long time. And then my buddy Pat, he played guitar for Kill Tony for a while.
Right.
He was always going like, you got to come to the store. And I didn't have a drum kit small enough to fit in the belly room. It was like a tiny room.
You just had like a
full like kit. Yeah. 32 piece monster.
Cymbal racks.
Yeah, exactly. But then I found like a toy bass drum at a thrift store.
Oh
but
shit!
It was like wood, and I bought new heads for it. And I was like, hey, I got a bass drum small enough. Let's do it. And then brought me to the store, and I was like, I say that I like sank my claws into it. I was like, I'm never leaving. I'll be back here as much as I can. I really like forced myself in there. But yeah, music is, you know, now with these guys, it's cool. Everybody's really, we show up, we do our work, we go home. It's not like, I'm not one of these like music is my life guys. Like I got to turn it off sometime. I'm annoyed by people that are like, dude, just 24/7, my music all the time. I fucking can't do it.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to. I used to be super into music before I started doing stand-up, but I was never a musician. I used to put shows together. Like I would book shows, and like that's why I got into like photography and filmmaking.
Yeah, where would you put shows on?
In Covina.
Okay, cool.
Mostly. You do house shows, and then I used to have a spot. Oddly enough, it was. Have you ever been to what's the name of the town? Capri Deli.
No.
It's down the street from. It's like probably 5 minutes away from Chatterbox.
Okay, cool.
Great deli, but it's like a big parking lot, and then we got like an office space there and like used it as like a recording studio and as like a DIY venue.
Cool.
Kind of like it was kind of like have you ever done Bridgetown DIY in La Puente?
No.
I don't know what would be out there. I mean, there's Perispace and the Smell.
Yeah, the Smell.
Yeah, the Smell. But the Smell is huge.
Is Bridgetown a punk venue?
Bridgetown DIY is it's not around anymore. It just got shut down like a year ago. But it was like the not alt, but like there was like noise bands, hardcore bands, punk bands, like emo stuff, metal stuff. It was just like a DIY spot where they would it was pretty cool because they had meetings every Sunday, and so like there was key holders.
Yeah.
But there was no one like in charge. So you can go pitch a show on Sunday and like vote. It felt kind of like cheating.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I want to do a show here. You just go to the Sunday meeting and pitch it. And then everybody votes on like, should we let the show be here?
Yeah.
And it's just like, as long as the show didn't conflict with anyone else's date.
Yeah.
Like everybody got booked there.
Yeah.
So there was all kinds of stuff that would go on there. It was a pretty tight spot. But yeah, that's how I used to be in love with music, and I was always like too self-conscious to like learn how to play drums. Yeah. Like I feel like there's something very embarrassing about learning to play drums because it's just like everybody can hear it. It's loud.
My poor neighbors, man.
When I was a kid, this isn't a musician story, but this is like the kind of my self-esteem was like I wanted to learn karate so fucking bad when I was a kid. I like wanted to be in karate, and then my mom finally like saved up money, booked me for this class at the like youth center, and so but I didn't know that like I thought it wasn't day one of the class.
Yeah.
And so like I introduced myself to the teacher, the sensei or whatever, and I was like, oh, I just signed up. You know, I was like 6 years old, and he was like, okay, cool, go ahead and fall in line. Like, but I thought there would be more welcoming of like, oh, cool, my name is this and that. And he was just like, yeah, fall in line and just follow what we do. Yeah. And so like, the thing is to announce that you wanted to be part of the class. You had to announce who you're like, Sensei, I'm I want to join your class. Yeah. And like, he'd be like, okay, go. He'd be like, join us or whatever. Yeah. It was real Ninja Turtle shit.
For sure.
Like
he was a rat.
Yeah. and then they would fall into rank, and then they were practicing kicks.
Okay.
And like my mom was just like, just go. You don't have to say it. Just go.
Yeah.
And like nothing
I
bad
thought he
happened.
called you out.
No,
He's
no,
like,
he didn't call me out. He didn't. Yeah. Who are you?
Yeah.
No, what happened was I was standing a little bit too close to the person in front of me, and I practiced my kick, but I was late. I was like off tempo.
Yeah.
And like my toes hit her foot.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't even, it was just like this.
Yeah.
Like our toes touched, our feet touched. And then like I started crying. I was like, I can't do this. This is too much pressure. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do it. That's how I felt about learning how to play drums.
Yeah.
If that
I'll
makes sense.
teach you.
Oh, sick.
I might be. I'm moving soon, and there's a garage there that I have an electric kit too, so it's like quiet. We can plug it into a little amp. Nobody has to hear you suck.
Damn. See, this is the sneaky moves.
Hey,
this is the
you
real
got it,
reason why
dude.
we brought
Hell
Joel
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
But
But so you use it more as like, I mean, it's like, what gravitated you towards punk?
I mean, the DIY shit, like just like I don't know, man. I think something just grabbed me. I mean, my first concert was The Offspring, and like whatever, I still love them. I don't care if people fucking hate. So I remember going to The Offspring, and they asked the people to turn the house lights on. And I remember looking around at the stadium. It was at the Universal Amphitheater, which is like the Gibbs. It's something else now. But and I remember seeing Dead Kennedys logos. Like people were wearing shirts, like kind of scattered, and that image like really stood out to me. And I was like, "What's that?" And then you like dig in. I think I bought Dead Kennedy shirt before I had ever heard them. I just thought that's what you wear if you're punk or whatever.
Poser.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's fine. I'm brave. But I don't know, man. Just being able to do it yourself and like not having to be like go to school for music and all that stuff. I was into skateboarding. That definitely like you hear a lot of those songs in the videos, and I just got lucky, I guess. I don't know, like hearing that, and that it gravitated. And like later on in my life, I met a lot of like really important people who would tell me like it's not the gear, it's the player, it's like all that sort of stuff. The Ramones are like one of my top like probably 3 bands in the whole world, and I think that if I would have heard Rush or something, I would have been like, I can't do that. But I heard the KKK Took My Baby Away, and it's like da na 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 da. Then I was like, I could do that. Yeah. And it just I don't know, that and skateboarding and like all of it's all like one big umbrella, I don't know. I can't really say what grabbed me about. I mean that, but yeah, there's this. I don't know if you've ever seen The Decline of Western Civilization.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
so like
it.
I loved Black Flag, and I remember watching that and going like, oh shit, he's a brown dude. Like Ron Reyes was Puerto Rican. He's like their singer at the time, and that really like stuck out to me. And I was like, oh, I can do that too. I remember having a moment of like, oh fuck, he's a brown guy. Like Black Flag, this band I love, like. Cause also like growing up in the hood and all that shit, it's like skateboarding is like white boy shit, like rock and roll is like white boy shit, and then when I saw that I was like, oh, it's not. Like I'm welcome here too, and then the older you get, the South Central like backyard scene, all that shit is like very Latino,
Yeah. I mean, punk's like I knew punk as like a local thing.
Yeah.
But the music I would listen to was very white.
Yeah.
Because that's just what it was.
For sure.
But so I do get that, but can you talk a little bit about that, about like growing up, like being into white boy shit?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they would call you K-rocker. That fool's a K-rocker, huh? Fucking no, I don't know. I had a cousin who like was skated and like was into like Depeche Mode and Joy Division and all that stuff. And I think that was like, I remember just sitting in his room listening to a lot of that stuff. And I also noticed that a lot of the people that would bully me were like into like other shit, and I was like, well, I don't want to be into that. But I always just felt different, man. I felt out of place a lot. Not like I'm like special, but yeah, but for sure I got that a lot. And now you look back, you're like, skateboarding and rock and roll has always been multicultural, but somehow I've wanted to joke about this for a while, that like that's how powerful white people are, that they've convinced us that music that came from black people is now white people music. But I don't know. I also went to like a predominantly white Catholic school from like kindergarten through 5th grade. And so they were listening to Green Day and shit like that. And I think whether it's white or brown or whatever, I love the exchange of ideas amongst like different cultures. And I don't know. I knew that I liked it. I can't say why. I don't know. I like everything though. You know, my brother's half black, half Mexican, and so I grew up listening to a lot of rap music too. And then, but the older that I got, I was like, oh, my bullies like that stuff. I'm not into it. Or like I used to love Shaquille O'Neal and like basketball, but then my bullies played basketball, and so I was like, fuck that.
Shaq Diesel, dude.
Yeah,
that's the
Shaq
best
Diesel,
of both
dude.
worlds.
Shout out, dude. I'd love to meet you someday. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Identity is like a crazy thing. I think I've also dated people in the past who are sort of have made me either ashamed or afraid of my like Mexicanness. And then I think once those things ended, I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm valid. I can be here. I'm gonna, this is who I am. And like really like leaning into it. I've a lot in my older age now, like I'm really sort of like, I'm pumped by it. I carry it almost like a powerful thing, you know?
Yeah, I remember when you first came to Chatterbox, when like I first saw you do stand up, I was like, oh shit, he's just like me. Like,
yeah,
I definitely connected to that energy of just like growing up, like people like us and like Vince Caldera that are like hood adjacent.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I didn't grow up in any kind of hood. Like, I grew up in Baldwin Park, but like that idea of like growing up like into white music, skating, like subcultures and stuff, and not into what like the expectation of like your identity is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because you did fucking the blood of Christ.
Oh yeah.
That is such a fucking good
It's
joke.
like that line that didn't happen, but also I would bring wine to like one of my exes was like, they're very like cholo centric kind of, or they're pretty hood, and I would show up with like $2 Chuck from Trader Joe's, and the mom would be like, damn, you're fancy, dude. Like, and I was like, this is the cheapest shit that I could find, you know. But wine is like seen as this like upper crust activity, you know. White women drink wine, like shit like that. But
which is funny because MD 2020 is wine.
Yeah, it's a type of for sure. It'll make you wine. I'm a hack. But no, I love that, and now even more so, which is why I really like what you guys do. I think that there is this like middle ground of like brown people that aren't necessarily like that or that. You're really like classified in certain ways, and I think that's what's great about representation and all that stuff. I mean, like I always talk about like Broad City. That show Broad City was like the first time you see these girls on a show who are like fuck ups and stoners and like weird, and like before that it was like there wasn't a lot of like shows about women like in that like living like that, you know, right. Or like now you see it with all the movies and shit that are happening. It's like we're multifaceted. We're not just like, you're not just white or a fucking cholo or like from the ranch, you know. It's like there are Chicano kids who grew up the way we did, and like and does that make us any less brown? Does that make our identity any less than what it is? I don't think so. You know, I've started to take ownership of that now, of like I am, this is my culture. I am allowed to do, like I'm getting this I get tattooed a lot, and I'm getting like this Chicana girl like on my side with like the Virgin Mary on her back, and like for a while I was like, oh, I'm not like a cholo, I don't know, but I'm like, but this is my culture. Like I'm allowed to do these things. Like it is a part of like my identity in a sense, even if I just grew up around it, or like seeing these images my whole life, and like why do I gravitate towards that? Like being able to accept that yeah, we're multifaceted, dude, and I think America is starting to see it, and like I don't know, man. Like I have a lot of like half black, half Mexican people in my family, and my niece, she looks black, you know, and she was, before all this Little Mermaid controversy, she was like the Little Mermaid for Halloween one year, but like Ariel, you know, red hair, like she just wanted to be the Little Mermaid. And so when people are bitching about all this stuff, I'm like, dude, like, do you know what this means to like these little kids who get to see this shit? And like, it validates your existence. I mean, like, as a kid, my parents would buy me like black dolls and stuff because it was the closest thing you could get to, there wasn't like a white doll. Right. And I don't know, man, identity is such a weird thing. And I'm still dealing with what it is and what it means. And I think that's why like my act, there are times where I'm like, is this crowd gonna get what I'm saying? But I've talked to people and be like, fuck them, like they need to learn, like that, like give them your. And I really struggle with finding like the humanity in whatever I'm saying that anybody can relate to, because these things are human things. You know, I'll see like a white trash comic. I don't know shit about their life.
Right.
But the humanity of it is a lot closer to my day-to-day life than some rich fucking blue blood
For sure.
person.
Yeah,
you know?
and I feel like with that point, it's like I don't want to victimize like our community or whatever, and like, you know,
the cops have already done that. You know what I'm saying? All right.
But I mean, like, I feel like it's a weird thing where like Latinos are not allowed to talk about their identity in non-Latino space. Like, nobody's telling a black comedian or an Asian comedian or an Indian comedian to not talk about these things. And I don't know if it's just like I'm taking things so personally and I'm like hypersensitive to these things.
Yeah.
But it does feel like that of like, oh, if I talk about Mexican shit, that like people aren't going to get it. And I think it's because we haven't seen that like representation really like out in mainstream, you know, because like obviously like historically white people have viewed race as like black people and white people. And so like we do see a lot more.
They're New York and LA, man.
Right.
You know? We're Chicago.
Yeah.
Which is also very Mexican. That tripped me out when I got there. I was like, wait, we're out here?
Oh yeah. So supposedly like the #1 rated carnitas is in Chicago.
Really?
Like the historically like
Man.
But
no, you're right. I think it's I don't know. I think like with shows like This Fool and stuff like that, we're starting to see that. Like I have a lot in common with Chris and like but that's a different character too, you know? He's like adjacent to that world and living and in it, but not of it. And it's like I just think that we need to uplift and sort of magnify these gray areas of humanity, you know, like everyone wants to, of course, with like the corporatization of things, you need to like find your beacons on every end of it, but like you're missing a lot of like these like gray areas in between, you know? I don't know, man. My mom worked at the zoo when I was a kid, so like I was like a fucking nerd. Like I love the Natural History Museum, like that's it. But how many shows about like fucking Mexican nerds at the Natural History Museum are there or whatever, you know?
It's
it's
just
like,
the fact that you dabbled in theater, realized you had to get out of it to find comedy, to get out of it. Like these are nuanced gray area experiences that like who people relate to having to make shifts they didn't want to make.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I feel like the closest thing we had was Sheen from Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even explicit that he was like any type of like. I mean, I know he has his last
In the
name.
movie,
Garcia, right? What's his name? He's a comic too. The guy who did it.
Chris Garcia. No,
was it
His
Jeff
last
Garcia?
name
Yeah.
is-
Ultra Lord.
dude, how sick would it? I'm sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
I lost the thought.
There was also a Ramon song in the Jimmy Neutron movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, look at that. It's all
Blitzkrieg
come
Bob.
together, dude.
You know, it's funny because I watched this movie. I used to be in film, and I watched this movie. Somebody showed it. It was an independent film. Bobby Lee was in it. I forgot what it was called, but it was about a wedding. Anyway, the whole point of it was like it was a Korean film or a Korean American film, and something had to do with one thing that the I'm sorry, I'm all over the place.
No.
I'm trying to remember, but the director came and spoke to us, and she said something that she learned about like immigrants in the United States and how like there's this idea of you're not X heritage enough. Like, you know, we've heard it before. You probably got judged.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. What? Wedding Palace? Probably. Yeah. Wedding Palace, I think it was called.
Cool.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
But it's there's talk of arranged marriages and stuff like that in there, and like but the whole conversation is centered around like being traditional enough. And one of the things that the director talked to us about was going back to visit Korea, and she found that when you're in the United States, you know, you kind of have to fight for your identity. And that's why where a lot of this rhetoric comes from of like, oh, you're not Mexican enough. Like, you're not a real Mexican or whatever, because, you know, this is how it is. Yeah. But what she said was, what she found is a lot of people move to the United States and like hang on to tradition.
Yeah.
But then when you go back and visit, if you go to visit these countries, it's like they've progressed just through time, just like any other country. So it's like they have their own cultures and they're a lot more modern than you think they are. So a lot of this stuff that we like, this like full circle is like, liking this white boy shit. The Ramones, like the Ramones toured in Mexico. That's one of their like biggest.
They were huge, man. Yeah. And the guy who designed their logo is Mexican.
Right, right. And so it's like a lot of these things that we're told like we're not supposed to like because it's white people shit is like that stuff is fucking huge in Mexico. Like that's where these bands perform. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like
I also understand like if you immigrate to a place and you don't have anything, you tend to like hold your like the things that you remember from where you were from.
You also do it harder.
Yeah.
Because like my family they're illegal for a while until they got amnesty.
You hear that? Oh wait, never mind.
But they would we would pray the rosary every damn day.
Dude.
Every day. And it's like, you think everyone's doing that in Mexico?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
just
that's
a couple
really
fringe
happening.
groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Santa Maria Madre de Dios.
Yeah. Eres de gracia. Ruega por nosotros. And it's just like over and over. Like it's ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
And when we do it at my uncle's house, we do it in the living room with a huge window.
Yeah.
And we do it at the neighbor lady's house. There was like a feud between them of like who was more religious almost.
Damn, wild. It's weird because you look like a rosary bead a little bit.
Joelberg's coming out.
Stupid, dude. It's so dumb. Yeah, you're like who is more holy, you know? Fucking whatever, dude. Yeah, even that. I mean, I went to Catholic school, all that shit. It's like Neil Brennan said one time that like Catholicism is like a Gatorade bottle. When no matter how much you wash it out and put water, it'll always taste a little bit like Gatorade.
That's funny.
And that shit's like, I mean, but that too with identity and like being Mexican and all that, it's fucking in there, dude. That Gatorade bottle it tastes like Gatorade.
Have like Cholo people I say Cholo people I don't know why we're so focused on
people.
Cholo. They are people, but like what has been your reception when you go and do like Latino crowds?
Good. I think I remind them of like their gay little brother or something. Hey, that fool gets down, fool. Let him draw, man. He's into art, fool. Yeah. No, I don't know. I think I've had a pretty good reception, which I worried for a while. I was like, you know, how is this gonna come across? But I think they all have some like relative who's like the rocker fool, like at the family party, you know.
But also, I think it's not just that. I think a lot of these fools, like, I don't know, like I work with like a lot of Latinos, and sometimes people like they have these interests or things they never pursue.
For sure. Yeah, you're
and
right.
They almost never share sometimes.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes I start sharing it, and like one of my coworkers is like, oh, like I used to play in a band.
Yeah.
And I was like, does he? I don't think he shares.
We
this
like Black
with
Sabbath, fool. Fucking Ozzy.
And it's like, I don't think some of these dudes all like share this with just anybody.
They can't. It's like dangerous to like show weakness or like vulnerability.
And it's like maybe they do, but like I talked about my thing, and it's a decision to be vulnerable about what I do, because you could use it against me at my job.
For sure.
But it's like then some of these guys open up like, I was in a band, it wasn't for me. My cousin, he tours. And it's like, oh shit, like they also see you as like an alternate reality.
Yeah.
And I think some people really like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think weed was the great equalizer for me. Like you start smoking weed, you're with cholos, you're with skaters, like, you know, where's the bud at? Fucking whatever. So I don't know. I was like around it a lot, but never like got in deep, you know. I think like having good parents was probably like saved me from a lot of shit, you know.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what the fuck.
We're going to start wrapping it up soon, or we're going to start wrapping it up. So if you have your question, but first, I just want to say thanks so much for coming through, Joel. Like this was a true blessing. Like I said, like I'm glad that we're in a place where we're like both starting to like see each other more.
Yeah,
I think all of us, obviously.
Dude, I was happy to be here, man. This is like, I hope it was good. I'm like, I'm always worried. I'll be in the car going like, I was not funny at all.
No, dude.
No, I'm really like proud of you guys. I'm really happy for all the shit that you're doing. I think it's important. Like it's just like amplifying these voices that aren't like traditional Chicano voices, or Latino, Mexican, whatever, wherever the fuck you're from. But no, I don't know. It pumps me up, man. It's great to see you guys doing all this shit. I like you guys. I like being here. Couldn't wait to do it.
Hell yeah. And also we didn't say this at the beginning, but I want to say you did Don't Fly, our last show, and it was like fucking sick. You crushed.
So fun, man. Yeah, I haven't watched the video yet. They sent it to me recently, but
our homie Fern sent it. But for the listeners or viewers, you can. It will be posted this week. You will be able to watch like the full Don't Fly show that we did, so you'll be able to catch Joel's set.
Yeah, sick.
If you're on the Patreon, it's available. But yeah, do you have anything? This is going to come out on the 3rd of May. So is there anything that you want to plug? I
got a new podcast called The Dogs of Browntown. We're doing it at the Comedy Store. Me, Hormoz Rashidi, and our friend Saul Trujillo. And then I got it's been dope, dude. That shit drops on tomorrow, next Monday the 24th, but you can find it on the Comedy Store's YouTube. And then I'm doing like a music deep dive show with Chappelle Lacey called Lesser Known Characters. Our first episode was our favorite Christian rock songs. I think we're doing the Goo Goo Dolls this Tuesday. But that too, like we wanted to do shit nobody would think we would listen to, you know? We were like enjoying things that maybe people would be embarrassed to say or wouldn't think that we'd be into. We're just like diving into these music things. At Mad Peaceful Band on Instagram, at Mostly Sorry. I post everything there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's about it, man.
Well, if you made it this far, what is your take on whether or not heckling is part of comedy?
If it's helping, then
go away.
Go away.
Then just tell us your favorite bar joke. But from all of us at Un Poquito,
Don't fly.